The deer have been nibbling the fruit trees, the deer have been nibbling our shade trees, some of our raspberry plants, nothing in the garden surprisingly. And so we need to put an end to this. And I have seen an idea online that we want to try. I'm a little scared because it's kind of a weird idea and I'm a little skeptical on whether or not it'll actually work. Finding that it's really convenient to have a wagon with all the supplies we need for each project to pull around with us. We're gonna use the red wagon for this project because the gorilla cart currently has my entire setup for drip systems. Prepare yourself for loud bangs. We ended up getting a chair to stand on initially when pounding this in because of how tall it was. Is this ground too hard?
It's also really high.
We have a long ways to go. Are you gonna be able to do 45 of those?
Maybe one a day.
But then all of our trees will be completely eaten. We got the first 4 done. So the ones closer to the house will always be harder because the dirt is so compact around the home. But this soil should be soft. But first, this section. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side done. We did have to go and bushwhack and clear a path all the way to the back. There were some big tall thistles so that we could draw our straight line to the back. But whew, this is hard work. Okay, progress update. We have the entire west side of our property done. We are now on the back side, which is pretty weedy. There's lots of dirt and rocks and things back there, so we have to clear all of that out before we can put the posts in. That works. Oh my goodness. We do have to move some of the pump track, which we're actually going to eliminate the pump track. It's growing too many weeds. The kids aren't enjoying it like we thought they would. So we're actually using a lot of the topsoil from the pump track to make more garden rows over there. And then I'm gonna make this whole section like our family's compost area so we can start building tons of compost. Weeds were growing all the way up till about here, so we've had to cut back far right there. So we are gonna do the outer perimeter of our whole yard just because we have berries on one side, garden on the other, and I didn't want to fence off like just the garden and then just the berries. And our garden is like the length of our property, and so we would have to do that long anyway, if that makes sense. So the only extra is just going across the back. We were able to get all 45 T-posts in the ground yesterday, and so today my project is getting the wires around. So we're actually not going to use wire or paneling. We're gonna try a cheaper option first and just see how it works. And if you haven't guessed it yet, we are going to use fishing line. So I have seen this idea floating around the internet when some people say it works and some people don't, but we're just gonna go ahead and give it a try. Now that we have the drip irrigation on the trees, I really want to put up the little wire fencing around our properties. We do have one problem. So our compost was actually dumped somewhat out of our property, and so we haven't moved it into where I want to put the compost, and so I have to leave that space open. So I'm trying to decide if I should just do one string halfway where our gorilla cart can still fit under it and then still maybe block the deer. I am working in the morning before my husband starts work, so I can get in as much as I can before he has to start working. So the method that I am using is, so at the beginning of each row, I'm tying on the first line 7 inches. Well, not actually 7 inches. It's 7 like tick marks on the T-post from the ground. Then I walk down to the next T-post where I wind it around 2 or 3 times and keep going from there. The first string I did 7 notches from the ground, but after that I did every 6 notches until I got to the top. And that's around our whole property except for where the compost is. For where the compost is, I skipped the first 2 sections of the fishing line, and then once we get our compost moved over, I will close that off all the way. So I did use, I think, a couple square knots all in a row because I feel like sometimes fishing line will loosen over time, and so that's what I did all the way around. And I've already noticed it's been a week since this has been up, and we haven't had any deer, but I have noticed only 2 sections that have sagged, so overall it's working really, really well. And I don't know if an animal actually hit those sections and that's why it's sagging. And people do say to check your fencing occasionally to see if a deer or any other animal has tried to get through and if you need to fix the line. As I got further back, I got closer to our garden where we are still using an overhead watering system. It's not the best system. As you can see, there's just puddles in the aisles, but it's doing what I need it to do for now. And I keep trying to tackle the drip system for this garden, but several family events have come up, and so we are just gonna have to wait. Okay, I finished. That's very quick. Now we all get to see if this actually works.